would seem we begin our journey where all good stories start. At the exit. Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is GM's Stagnant Interiors. But perhaps that's a bit inaccurate. I say exploring, and this is a liminal map to explore. But the main draw of this one, and the reason why you guys have been begging me to play it, is because it is apparently, and this is all I've heard, not safe. And I don't know what not safe means, but I know how we can make it feel safe. So, let's see what this is about. Can we turn on some lights in here? No, it doesn't seem so. Which means that with a combination of darkness and a potential lack of safety, we are going to have to take our earliest opportunity to turn on our tack light, which we can do by trying to pick up it's not a physics object. Alright, one spawned object later, we enable the flashlight bug, back to safety Glock, and we are ready to take on anything. I hope. But funnily enough, you know what I'm finding? Normally I would have gotten started by now. I would have moved beyond the areas and tried to figure out what direction I want to take. But just being told that maybe there's danger, that maybe there's enemies, I'm kind of paralyzed. I feel like I'm in my safe little corner, and I don't want to leave. Actually, now with the light, I can see that our spawn area kind of resembles a wooden cabin. An old one, all overgrown with moss and vines that kind of complement the drapes that are splayed over that entryway. Almost like I'm being invited in to some reception. I don't like how quiet it's gotten suddenly. This door is sunk deep in its frame. 2233. Numbers slightly offset from each other. Where am I? The Ocean View Motel? Is there something around the corner there? Wait. They may be cables, but with the overturned chair, I can't help but think of them as a noose. God, I don't even know where to start. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Let's keep to the place that's slightly better lit, huh? It really is a liminal map. In fact, the colors and lighting here sort of remind me of the earlier pink-black maps. Ooh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I played an early pink-black map, I remember coming into a space like this. It looked like a suburban house. There was red light pouring through the windows. And I remember describing it as a sense of stagnant hostility. Makes for quite a creepy echo like 2 years later. Makes it feel like a recurring nightmare. Only this time you know it's going to be so much worse because, well, they never get better. Okay, it's a garbage can and a creepily angled hallway into the darkness. But what isn't dark in a place like this? Face a chair to static and I'll expect some hideous creature to turn around and look at me like I've interrupted their show. That's quite a big pot. What you cooking up? Nothing much. Then again, the relative emptiness of a space is kind of part and parcel to the liminal genre, isn't it? As are inviting hallways, as foreboding as they are. This is a very silent map and a very dark one, and that really creeps me out. It's like other liminal maps I've explored, but the nature of the areas changes on a dime between rooms. It's not sectioned off into certain feelings, it's just stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness and a sense of danger only because they told me to feel one. Imagine I get to the end of this and there's not actually anything to it. Doesn't seem like we can go this way, but that is a factor of bad dreams, huh? I thought I just heard something like a whistle or something. You know that tense moment in a dream where you know that something's about to happen and everything's completely still and silent? Usually right in the moment before you wake up. No such luxury here. I just scared myself with the reload sound. Bunch of red cups set out for a party that's not happening. With all the connectivity on display here, it's going to be really difficult to keep things organized. But the last few pink-black maps have been excellent training in getting me to abandon ideas of order. Still, this seems to be crazy even by those standards. Blue is a common color, but somehow that combined with the better lighting is not doing anything to assuage my fears. In some ways, the silence is comforting because it makes me think that, okay, if something is to approach me, I'll at least hear it approach. But now I'm thinking, what if the creatures themselves, whatever inhabits this place, are themselves silent? What is that? Oh, it's a painting. I thought there was another window beyond here and something was peeking through. It's all just hallways, connected spaces, endless. And oddly enough, I keep trying to take the paths that will loop back in on themselves, and it never seems to happen. Like this, was this door here before? I think it was, but some doors are locked. No. No. My room at the Great Northern is ready for me. I don't think I'd ever leave. I'd probably want to close the curtains, though. Look at this. We're overlooking a stage. A stage set up for attendance by an invisible audience for an invisible speaker. So at least they found the right crowd. My God. Nice stance. The chair in the corner is a bit of a strange touch, though. Also, I've just noticed the window that should face out onto the hallway, but there's nothing behind. Is that a mirror? I hope that that's a mirror. It is, okay. think I've said it before, but commentary is actually really difficult when there's no music or ambient sounds whatsoever. It's like how hearing your own voice can make you stop talking. It's like the extra processing causes a feedback loop, while here, it's kind of the exact opposite. I don't know, though. That's kind of a creepy thought. Maybe it's because my brain hears something that I don't and is telling me to pay attention. Contradictory exit signs and cramped spaces. Now that really is a type of stagnant hostility. Let's go back this way. I'm opening up all these doors and doubling back, and that's going to make it really hard for me to tell where I have and haven't been. All right, we've reached reception, but why is the computer facing us? No reason, apparently. Oh, Hall 1? Is this Hall 1? Good thing we're starting from the beginning, huh? I keep thinking I hear like a breath. Just something, you know? But I can't tell if it's like outside my window or if it's actually in the game. That's how subtle it is. Back to here. This one doesn't want to open. You know, in real life, you would rush into a room to create a sense of disorientation in whoever's inside, to feel that they don't have time to respond to everything that's happening to them. Here, it's just for my own peace of mind. It's just knowing that whatever outcome happens, it'll be quick at least. Because I can't stand to draw this out. Hello, drink machine? Is there room enough to hide behind you? Imagine this. You know something's chasing you. You can hear it stomping around. You just kind of cower behind here, knowing it's not a good angle, but just kind of praying that it will eventually stomp by and won't notice you. Then again, if there is to be some sort of danger on this map, it's certainly doing a good job of downplaying it. I was kind of thinking that this would maybe end up being partially action-y. But it's not. And the longer we go without even seeing evidence of any kind of entity, the more paranoid and nervous I get. Which I suppose is the idea. I feel like the back rooms have become too popular recently. And I know that's lame to say that, like, oh, just because something's popular, it's not good anymore. But it's because it's, in a lot of ways, gotten rid of the satisfying unknown of the back rooms. Not knowing what this place is, or how it works, how you got there, or how you can get out. Modern interpretations of the back rooms tend to have, like, very rigidly defined, like, levels and procedures and entities. And to me, it basically just becomes dollar store SCP in that way. But here, it's showing some restraint. It's not using the typical imagery. There are many unknowns still at play here. And it's keeping me on edge. In some ways, it's even doing so in a way that games with no entities can't achieve. Because I'm not dropping my guard. Every step I take, I feel like some horrifying thing could be around the corner because I don't understand this place. And that's something that I haven't really felt about a liminal map in a while. I mean, when's the last time I really pushed forward with the safety Glock everywhere I went, huh? Okay. We've been through here. Now I'm wondering, are we talking monsters? Are we talking objects? Do they stay still or do they patrol? These changes in elevation. I have to mention this every time it comes up in map design, but this is a true definitional liminal space in that we don't really have rooms here. Everything seems to be built into hallways. We can recognize what sort of space it's emulating, but it's the transitional element that seems to really throw our brains off. This looks like a place where we don't want to stand directly in the middle. Feels like that's do not stand here while machine is operating type of appearance. Okay, I need to make decisions from a corner here. What kind of stain is that? Oh, it actually is just Ati the janitor forgetting to dry up the puddles again. Oh, I'll keep this place spotless, Ati. You're doing a great job. Really. Probably helps when no sunlight gets in. As if it would anywhere else. Well, actually, I suppose it would. I mean, there's a red sun out there. And for the first time, evidence of someone attempting to use the space. Look, there's like cereal food on the ground over there. This looks like someone dragged it to barricade it. I don't want to go forward, and it's not because of the tiny little space I'm going to have to crawl into. It's because of these curtains again. When they're framed up this way, it just feels like I'm being invited forward. Like an animal being coaxed into a trap. But it is my job. Do I have to leave? I mean, it's at the very least easy to cover my corners. I guess I do. Aside from a slightly high ceiling, this looks like a normal house. And somebody's raided the fridge. We're starting to see evidence of people being here. I recently played a game called Dream Core, and it was a very different take from this on liminal spaces. It really emphasized the scale, but more importantly, it emphasized the length of time you can spend in a place like this, because I've always felt that that was the real horror. Not that any particular space is extremely scary or dangerous, but it's the not knowing when or if this is ever going to end. With this, I wonder, would people take a place and just make it their own? Would they decide to keep moving in the hope of eventually finding some way out, or would they decide that a relatively safe-looking space is the best they can hope for and just set up shop? Either way, I guess we've got the keys now. Well, that's just one less angle for me to guard. Look at that. It's like the back wall of the bathroom simply opened up and continued on. Davidis. Davides? However you pronounce it, it's plain English text in here. And that is always significant. More brick doors. Is that the exact back of the one we opened before? Okay, I have a new mission. I want to try to maintain a sense of direction by moving back around to the opening, I guess the living room door of that house. Unless the scale surprises me. Look at this, a massive open pool in a dark room. And more of that red light pouring through a skylight in the corner. Neon colors occupying each individual sliver of wall, but the pool itself completely in darkness. And what's more, this does actually use similar textures to the pool spaces in those early pink-black maps. Oh, that looks very, very deep. Even the entrances to these pools are slanted inward, like they want you to slide in when you get too close. All right, let's hold our nose and go for it. It's deceptively deep. I mean, lots of liminal maps have structures like this, but I think the reason it's so creepy is because you would never expect something man-made and this small, in terms of surface area, to be so deep. It makes it feel like the place itself is trying to eat you. There's so much here. But we can always come back to it. Right now, I'm committed to completing that mission because I need to have some mission. I need to have some sense of direction to keep me going, or else it just feels like I'm going insane. Well, those who watch me know that ship may have sailed a long time ago. Here we are. I think I do stuff like this. Like, I'll see a door that I want to go through, but I'll take the long way around hoping to find it again. Partly because it gives me a kind of internal compass for how everything is laid out to connect 2 points in that way, but also because I feel like I need to know that things aren't changing behind me. Because there's always that creeping suspicion in a very winding and confusing space that things just aren't meant to be understood, that they can't be. Now would be about the time something walks by. Thought that monitor against the white back wall was somebody standing there. I'm impressed with my restraint for not firing off a shot. So now we're coming upon rooms that actually start to more resemble things and not just furniture thrown into a hallway. Does that mean we're getting closer to something? I mean, this looks very much like the reception area to some kind of hotel or club. Locked. And I'm just dropping magazines all over the place every time I try to open a door. I swear I see shadows moving around corners everywhere I look. And I know it's just a combination my flashlight and the way LOD works and all manner of other things. But I still can't help but feel unnerved by it. I think in a game like this, I'm just very aware of how many angles I'm not covering at a given moment, especially when I know something's out there. But once more, I haven't seen anything. I'm not sure how long I've been recording, but it's got to be at least 20 minutes, right? And we've not even encountered what's supposedly here? Oh. What if it's underwater? Water that I'm going to have to enter very shortly. There's a snowstorm happening outside right now, and I think a lot of the sounds I'm hearing are coming from the window that I've left open a crack so that I can let it chill in while I'm wearing this headset. I'll be honest, I think part of the reason I said that was to reassure myself that I am wearing a headset. Oh my god, I'm so glad to be out of there. That was so weird. Like, as I was descending deeper and deeper into that darkness, I kept thinking I could see a floor, and then it just wouldn't be there as I approached. I don't know. And I don't even think it's anything the map was doing. I think for some reason, my brain just kept filling in a bottom just beyond the edge of the black. And unfortunately, I think we're going straight into the water again. Nothing hiding behind the pillars, right? God. God, nothing like being waist deep in dark water to make you recognize just how vulnerable you are, huh? Especially when that ceiling gets ever lower. Look at that. That haze is so strong it actually somewhat obscures what's beyond it. I kept thinking I'd see that chair slide off into the room. I keep thinking a lot of things, and I think that's a big part of it. I keep making up scenarios in my head when I look at what's beyond. Thinking, what if this happened? And then I sort of continue on, as frazzled as if it had. Once again, I'm overwhelmed by possibilities for where to go. Thankfully, this door is not one of them. You know, this looks to be like very medical and hospital-like, but we haven't actually seen any medical-looking rooms. Look, even the windows are boarded. It's like an abandoned hospital that stopped receiving support but didn't stop operating. Now it's like we're online for a mine tour. We're back in Grandpa's cabin. And this door has been knocked inward. And I'm always really wary when I see stuff like this because it makes me wonder if there's not maybe a trigger that kind of releases the Kraken. You're not opening. Neither are you. None of these doors are opening. Nope. Oh, what a beautiful park. Good on you for trying to bring some life to such a dull and dreary place. This must be the door beside the pool. Okay, so right there would be where we entered. All right. We've reached the point where I'm starting to gain something of an understanding of how things connect. And that's always a tad bit reassuring, but what's not is not figuring out what the whole gimmick of this map is. If there were to be a trigger, something like this would be it. Now I'm thinking, there are actually a lot of ways to present an entity, huh? It could be a big giant monster the size of a hallway that comes hurtling down it. It could be an object that screams and attacks if we get too close. It could even be the geometry itself. I mean, could it be that we have encountered entities and I don't even know it? On a map like this, you always feel watched and judged and tested. So where's the limit? Where's the line? Where's your TV? I mean, one entrance and exit, that could be a death sentence, or that could be a good place to set up shop, right? Especially if there actually is to be something edible in the fridge. Or maybe that's part of it. Maybe it deliberately taunts you with things you would associate with food. Empty cereal boxes, empty fridges. And a whole lot of these art gallery-esque showrooms. These hallways that wrap around island features. Usually well lit, but not really going anywhere in particular. And I've noticed that all the lights on this map have a cable that lead off into the wall. It all feels very, I don't know, slapdash in some ways, like a temporary setup. The artworks in here are all fairly standard. Impressionistic looks at Venice, boats. But the walls are still mostly bare. Like it's only aping the shapes of an art gallery. Certainly not the colors. Meanwhile, this looks like a place where you'd wander around trying to make sure nobody's trying to steal your team's intelligence. I'm telling you, white brick and red concrete. That's the TF2 aesthetic right there. Okay, top rule of Gary's Mod horror maps. If there are interior windows, you will see something on the other side of them sooner or later. That was a very loud door opening sound that you just hit me with. And I'm very, very sensitive to sounds right now. Problem being, how could I not have seen some of these doors? Oops. It doesn't seem like I can actually get beyond here. There's an invisible wall. So I guess that door wins this round for now. There also doesn't seem to be any real way to access that sealed room we saw through the window. For as much like a construction site as some areas feel, this one really does seem to be a construction site. Open ceilings and propane tanks just left around. And truly pitch dark if not for our flashlight. Let's not do that for any longer. course, this is the space where you start giving me the really loud doors that are like a little mini jump scare, even though I anticipate it each time. It's the loud opening and then the thud as you reach your destination. That's the thing that does it for me. It's like a jump scare double tap. I think there's also a part of it that's me going, no, stop, they'll hear you. I swear I heard like a creak somewhere. I've come through here. Did I come from there, is the question. Oh, I can't know where I've come from. These doors are all non-existent. Which means there's no breadcrumb trail. Well, a wire fence is one way to try and keep something in, right? I think we're heading back towards where we initially came from, which is why I'm so on edge right now. I mean, if something was coming for me, what if it's looking where I first started, and I'm heading right back into its jaws? By the way, don't worry, I'll get to Jaws Unleashed sooner or later. It's all recorded. It's been on the games I'll play in the near future list forever. I'm sorry I'm defying the arrows. Oh god, this map is truly massive. And I have truly no indications of progress. That's sort of where we were. I wonder, I'm almost tempted, if it wouldn't be so loud, to try just shooting through that glass, jumping through the window just to build myself a shortcut. I said before that I could not take this methodically, and that's still true, to an extent. The only thing I have to orient myself with is my own internal compass. And that elevator over there. This is looking sort of like the classic back rooms, the first time we've really seen a somewhat familiar image. You know, I've noticed that a lot of these transitions have these very high-tech looking doorways. And it kind of reminds me of those checkpoints in the pink-black maps. Nothing here. That set of keys, what were they for? I'm trying to think back now to if we've opened any of these doorways and heard like an unlocking sound. Certainly not that one. These glowing yellow bulbs that just bring a certain feeling to a house not constantly lit by electronics in every direction. It's that I should be in bed, so I'm gonna be in trouble if anybody sees me lighting. And it's the I'm a little scared to be up in the first place lighting. I can't be cohesive here, so I'm just going to do whatever draws my fancy. How about that? And this hallway is certainly beckoning me. That almost looks like an outdoors. Hang on, is there a way to get there? Maybe it is outdoors, but that doesn't mean it's real. Why Why do I get the impression that it wants me to take my place on the stage? To lie down here and fall asleep like I'm supposed to? Well, I'm not going to be that obedient, I'm afraid. I mean, with the map itself, the architecture is cool, but there's not a tremendous amount to say about it that I haven't said before. What's really getting me is the knowledge that something wants to kill me. It's like having one of those nightmares where you know you're being pursued. You may even have a picture in your head of just what's pursuing you, even though chronologically you've never seen it or encountered it, and nobody else is acting like it's there, and for some reason you just can't communicate that information. It's like they've abandoned even the pretense of having a source for this light. That door's open, so we must have been here before. Yes! Yes, this is where we came from in the very beginning. Howdy, folks. Mind if I sit in on your little meeting here? I get the impression that you do mind. This is reminding me of something that I've often talked about, which is that in a space of sufficient size, how would you know if there was somebody else there with you? You might catch glimpses of places they've been, evidence, and that might unnerve you, but the odds of ever actually running into each other are astronomically low. Like running to an old friend from school out in the wild. This place reminds me of the aftermath of every school event, when everyone's gone home and they're starting to kill the lights, and you want to take advantage of the rare opportunity to explore, but it's also a bit unnerving to see a familiar space in this way. I thought that was going to be a pure black wall. No such luck. Oh, no. God, the way these vines just hang over some of these hallways. From a horror perspective, I love, but I also hate these soft obstructions. These things which block your vision, but won't stop anything from charging through at you. And I'm seeing this repeated theme. Stages set up in the center of an open space. Even still, though, I've seen nothing to substantiate the claim that there is actually something here with me. And yet, I can't stop thinking about it because I know that the second I let my guard down, that's going to be the moment it strikes. Locked. You know what? I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with moving on. The thing is, the workshop page even warned that you should use a modded version of VRMod so that you can have access to the HUD and all that. But I prefer this for immersion. The thing is, there's a lot on there that talks about this map as if it's very gameplay-oriented. So far, I've explored it as any other map and had no issues. Imagine if I hadn't known. This would be a heart attack waiting to happen, but at this rate, it still is. God, what a fever dream. The end of this room just bathed in pink light, and the ceiling is just noticeably very low. Projector doesn't seem to be projecting much right now, though. The thing is, I know I haven't... I just keep thinking I hear things. The thing is, I know I haven't broken something either, because the workshop page talks about VR mod. It's presumably been tested this way. Ooh. There's a camera. And documenting could help take my mind off some of the horrors. Look at that. There's a whole underside. For some reason, it's caged off. I say for some reason. That's actually a bold assumption. Sounds just like the sound we often hear on pink-black maps. And I'm trying to determine if it's getting louder or quieter, trying to determine, really, if it's moving. It's kind of hard to tell. Locked, of course. It's like this wheelchair is standing guard, huh? Room 21. Oh. Come on. These rooms are missing their numbers. Come on. This is really getting annoying. Every once in a while, the right hand works. What are you trying to keep at bay? Okay. We can maybe potentially break these boards down, but I'm not even going to try it until we've explored a little more. I'm thinking the more we can see before something comes at me, the better off we'll be, right? And hey, we may have seen a lot by now. Some of those spans are still rotating slowly. Anything in the closet here? No. Alright, let's move on. That door at the end of the hall sure looks openable. So let's see what that's about. It's one of the very first rooms we could enter. We're right back around to the beginning. We've come full circle. It would break immersion so much, but I'm so tempted to pull up the headset and see how long I've been recording. It feels so long. I think I've just realized part of why this is so eerie to me. Vines, overgrowth. on a room that has not been decomposed at all naturally. Hey there. I feel like I'm expected to deliver a speech I forgot to write. They're not going to be happy when they find out, right? Is that where this is going? You're really telling me to notice that radio down there. I think we've seen that TV over there before, though. It doesn't seem interactive, though. Now would be a great time for something to come up behind me. Yes, we have been here. In fact, we came from this way, which means this way. The more we start recognizing spaces, the more likely it is that we're reaching the conclusion. Come on. Come on. It's not even giving a regular lock noise. It's like it's blocked. That would be the time for something to come at me when I'm vulnerable and unarmed, right? And when I'm completely in the dark. Door. Now I'm wondering if I should be closing doors. Keep things from moving around. But now I see we haven't reached the end. We've just reached a new area. Is that it? Somebody sat down to enjoy a meal and left probably not a crumb for me, right? All the cereal, cans, chips, and pizza. I don't know why I do that, like it'll catch some monster off guard. Come on. Thank you. Thank you for at least telling me. Back to here. Wait, we have been this far this way? Well, that completely breaks my mental map. And this is starting to seem more medical again. Long way from the hospital. Although the fact that my mind even tries to compartmentalize this is probably misguided, since that was impossible in the beginning. Come on. So we've made it back to here. And I should have mentioned it at the time, but this was like one of the first instances of noticing a threshold that seems unnaturally built up. Like it really is meant to house a blast door or something. In other words, that it's meant to contain. $1 million question is, contain what? In any case, everywhere I look seems to bring us to somewhere familiar. All right, so I've gone ahead and done what the workshop page says, which I had initially avoided, which is enabling VRMod's semi-official version. It says that it needs it for certain triggers to work, and I'm starting to suspect that something's not working, but I don't like to do this because I've tested with it before, and it has so many problems, like the immense difficulty of actually getting the safety Glock just now. Have I been in here before? I'm not sure I have, but I definitely just heard something. And I don't think it's because of the semi-official version that it did that. That's not the kind of thing that would have trouble triggering normally. All right, now I'm a bit more nervous. Oh. That reflection on the wall, at first it looked like it was all burned. Well, I guess there are still some places I haven't seen on this side. I'm just running around trying to make triggers happen. Can we actually put the power on? Ah! Okay, no, here we are. Maybe I was always just a hair away, and I just didn't know it. Honestly, requiring the HUD just makes me think you're gonna JPEG jump me. It's like if only we could peek beyond those blinds, there would be a beautiful sky out there, but we can't make it happen. It seems so simple, but we just can't. What if we do try to get around? Well, in a place like this, that's easier said than done. Very easy to get turned around. And even though I did save my progress before re-enabling the mods, seems like, oddly enough, some but not all doors have closed, which is also a really strange condition to be in. These doors also seem to be working a lot less. More and more stages wherever we go. They're like sheet ghosts dancing beneath the light. Hey there. Howdy. You, seem kind of familiar. Oddly enough, you're not just a cutout. You actually have some features to you. Your shadow makes you seem even more threatening than you are. Interesting, a red flashlight pointing straight at that box like its owner saw something that caused them to flee in terror. Nothing there, though. I was right. As soon as I let my guard down, things started happening. This whole area is not even bothering to have furniture. And as usual, I don't even remember if I've been here before. There's certain things about the semi-official VR mod that are like really convenient and make things a bit easier. And there's certain things that are just like 10 times harder for no reason. Oh. For a second here, I was thinking you were like an outline in the wall. I don't know that we've been here. No, I don't believe we have. So what's behind that door then? Hang on, right after we go bobbing for Easter eggs. God, that sound effect, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. From a pool to a prison, connected only by the appearance of a tiled wall. And straight back into a home or a resort? No such luck. Oh, God. I feel like the peaks and valleys in this story are communicated largely by the peaks and valleys in the ceiling height. Oh, man. I started to pick up the pace because I could only take like so much of this at a time, and I still don't think I've been recording for that long compared to other maps. But it's, you know, it's uniquely tense in a way. See, have I been here? I don't know. I keep going in directions that I know I've been in. I keep seeing things that I know I've seen. And yet somehow, just beside it, always something I haven't. Or at least something I don't remember seeing. Hey there. You look quite familiar. That pattern, I mean. Huh. It's like you're wearing a tie and everything. At a certain point, I feel I should mention that the creator did say on the workshop page that this was heavily inspired by Pink Black's maps. And that's certainly visible all throughout. While not being necessarily derivative, it's doing its own thing. It has its own feeling, while still certainly bearing traces of its origins. Something else that concerns me is the fact that they said they initially tried to have this reach the map limits, the boundaries of Hammer. And given that this is all interior spaces, that's a recipe for quite a huge experience. You're providing an awful lot of places for something to hide, huh? And back to here. What would happen if we were to pull the fire alarm? Nothing? Classroom. Lots of traffic cones everywhere. I've noticed that throughout the map. They're kind of a recurring image, but it's taken me a while to recognize them as such because they're sort of downplayed. They're this map's melons. As always, I keep being unsure if I can hear things. No, we've been through here. We've been through here. Another place of yours. Stall game. Okay, Occupado. It's not quite as immersive, but it is useful to be able to open doors from beyond. The sight of you in the mirror is certainly not making things any easier for me. And of course, it's just a pair of boots. But imagine if we didn't do that. The idea that we can just knock and get no response, no movement, no nothing. Oh, there was another way around. I didn't even see this opening around the corner. Oh, if it's not my favorite structure. It's not my favorite structure in the whole wide world. Mercifully small this time around. A lot of games like to trap me in a labyrinth made exclusively of this. You know, I don't like being down here in water, in the low ground, while windows look down on me. Cafeteria. Believe it when I see it. You wanted to see me, sir? All right, we'll make a note of that. There's just something about faint red light casting shadows over a large empty space, a quiet space. At least our flashlight cuts through it somewhat. Well, hey, we found what happened to one of those hotel room signs. I was curious to know if you guys would roll. You know what? It's for the best. This, however, I'm not so sure about. Of course, anytime there's a dead end, we have to acknowledge that we're heading back, and that a trigger may have been triggered along the way. Here we are. Once again, basking in the glow of the classics, huh? You know, I'm starting to think that I do recognize the lonely feeling that a lamp in a carpeted room feels like. It's the retirement home. It's the feeling that you're in a place where people are just waiting for the end. Maybe that's just my own personal association. Cables and ropes. Just cables and ropes everywhere. It's a very consistent image, although it appears in different ways. I think we may have been here. No, I'm not so sure, actually. Howdy, washing machine. You're looking menacing today. No, I don't suppose you would give me a break, explain any of what's going on here. Here we are. The camera. But it doesn't seem like I can actually do anything with it. I've noticed that these red lines in this mod, they appear when you're in range to grip something. It's almost like it's waiting to capture an image of something in that bowl or at the end of the table. You know, I've spent all this time just trying to get back to the door at the end of that hallway where all the lights went out. The windows boarded, boxes packed up. This is either moving in or moving out. And I'm not sure which brings up the strongest memories. Once again, I find myself the man of the hour, huh? Still, nothing has tried to attack me. But we have learned that we're not alone. These just both opened at once. So why that? Oh my god! What? Oh my god, I just teleported. What? Did I die? I guess I spoke too soon, but I never even... Nothing was even near me. I was looking right at you, unless you were just the distraction. Unless there actually was something standing there in the dark with me. God, that was real panic. Not startled, like if the doors had just closed on me. They had already established that there was something weird about them when one of them opened when I pressed just the other. But then it shows something, a shadow coming out of the TV, simultaneously as if there's some image being projected out of it, or that something invisible is standing in front of it. And just as I prepared to deal with whatever that was, something else killed me, and I still don't know if it was an entity or if there was a trigger or what. In any case, I want to get to the bottom of what's going on through here. It's about time we started making some headway, don't you think? And it's really, really dark. Okay, we're gonna need to bring that flashlight bug back. The problem is, unless there's some option to change this, and I have looked around and found nothing, unless there's some way to fix it, this is what I'm working with in terms of menus. So it's really, really inconvenient. There we go. Safety Glock is back, although it may not do me much good. My experience with this map has been nothing short of disorienting. What is that in the corner? More importantly, what is that right beside me? It looks simultaneously like some horrible beast and a sarcophagus for some horrible beast. Well, better turn my back to it. What's the worst that can happen? Looks like either an altar or a prison for you, huh? Okay, this looks sort of familiar. God, I can't decide what looks familiar and what doesn't. Honestly, because even if it's... This place is absolutely dumped in ash. We have not been to this GM ash pit at all. Let's enter the dollhouse. Well, doesn't that just feel evil? Broken mirror. Let's see what's around the back. So what we've seen is that there are times in this map where something will happen. Where something will try to kill you. Where something will appear. But most of the time, it doesn't. And that's why it's so effective. So what do we learn? This direction sucks. You know, I'd forgotten you were there. Let's crawl through here. That cage that you chewed through. Because if something chewed through it, that means it is outside of the maze, right? We have nothing to worry about? It means we have nothing to worry about. Locked doors, lit hallways, around to the other side of this thing. Life's good. All's good in the... I have an idea. Yep! Well, I guess it didn't work. I was going to try to get behind you while you were teleporting. Hey, look, there's my corpse on the ground. You have permanently left your stand. Which means you had no problem crawling back in, huh? If I come through here, will you pull your same trick again? That's my next question. You won't. Like a recurring nightmare, we can get a little farther each time. Oh, these doors already open. And another key. But once more, the keys to what? I believe from some talk that I've seen that this map does have a definitive ending. But where would that be? How would it work out? I don't know. All I do know is that it's strange to come upon familiar things in such close proximity to unfamiliar things. Well, since our friend seems to have absconded, let's see what it's like in the area beneath where we encountered them. It's a vent passageway. Perhaps the same vent passageway that we saw another entrance to nearby? And I had forgotten how slow crawling is. And it seems that we can only get here by falling, but I think that pretty much confirms that that is the case. Okay, it seems saving did nothing for the triggers in this map, which is actually a good thing, I think. Let's see. Here it comes. I said, here it comes. No? You're gonna make me come to you? All right. Is that all? I'll be honest, I don't really believe you. But everything seems to be okay so far. I recognize this instantly. Is this the store, the entrance store from the oldest view? I love this. It's got so many references to like liminal culture, but not in a fan servicey way. If you don't know, it still works. And it's still extremely creepy. Unfortunately, our stairway to the surface seems to have collapsed. This is a really well done reference. And this is a really well done map. Dude, the fact that I was able to wander for so long and still be caught off guard after like an hour by running into these things. So now we've got 2 keys, a blue one and an orange one. And my question is just what does that actually do for us? We have encountered doors which played a lock sound rather than no sound at all. Man. This point comes in every liminal map of a certain size. The point where I'm just running through, hoping to encounter something I haven't seen before. It's just that it has a bit of a jack-in-the-box feeling on this map in particular. I really like the way it's gone about its danger, which is it's present, and I was even primed for it, which made it better. But let's say I hadn't. Let's say I hadn't heard that there were entities on this map. I would have flown out of my skin the first time it happened, and then I would be just as tense as I am now. The key here is that it doesn't become all about the entities. There's something that is here. It makes it seem that the whole place is a maze of traps. And the scariest part is you'll never know when you're walking right into them, or really that's not true. If you can recognize triggers, you can recognize traps. The only thing is that it doesn't cash in on every opportunity. I guess restraint is what I'm saying is the name of the game here, and it's doing it really well. You know, the funny thing is, now that I'm tripping over these things left and right, they are all in new areas. I'd started to suspect that I had broken something by not using the right version of VR mod, and I'm starting to see that what was actually happening was I was kind of weaving around all of these things through just pure luck. Unfortunately, the nature of the job is that sooner or later I want my luck to run out. And it has certainly been paying me back. I also like how some, but not most of these areas are pitch black. No lighting whatsoever. To contrast with the very dim, but very vibrant lit areas. Wasn't this locked before? Hang on, I think this might actually be something that's working now. I'm not sure. Maybe I just didn't go through. Impossible to tell. Just a nice casual little dining area, like sitting outside at a Greek restaurant or something. Back to here. And what I couldn't see is that there's another door hiding. One which is locked, of course. I hope the same won't be true of this one. No. But the long darkness and clouds of dust hanging in the air beneath the only working lamps are not reassuring. I'm always the most tense in that moment where my flashlight is pointed away from the dark doorway. Philip Jeffries! I should have known you were behind this whole thing. Also, you actually did just scare the bejesus out of me. God, why? So, this is something I was actually just thinking about earlier today, right? The imagery from the pink-black maps. I always talk about how that sun is just everywhere. How Philip Jeffries has appeared in multiple places. I was working on Scare Reel 5 today, and I noticed this. And it's weird because there's all these cross-referential images now that seem to exist across all Garry's Mod liminal maps. They started out often as signatures or images from a particular creator's maps, but then others started referencing them, so they show up there as well. And if you're somebody who doesn't know about that stuff, you'll just find that across creators, across genres, these things just show up. What makes it even weirder is that they were existing without context to begin with. So it's like when they're referenced, they both develop and lose context at the same time. Actually, I feel like my videos are one of the only things that sort of gives them a cohesive context. Am I the C-3PO of liminal spaces? Look, see? A melon! Hiding melons in liminal spaces. That's a Shady Milkman reference. I guess it's only fitting that it be so close to Philip Jeffries. What is this, the DMV? It feels about as hostile and unpleasant. Okay, I need to be trying these doors. All right, none of those doors worked, which means we're forced to take a number. Oh, it's a window. As usual, a window to nothing, but I am obligated to check. It seems like this whole area is just the hall of love for Garry's Mod liminality, because this reminds me a whole lot of one of the very first, GM Liminal Space. There we go. It's been years, but yeah, this right here was one of the images that helped launch my career, I guess. Actually, this looks familiar too, because on Thunder Ghost's Null Spaces map, this window, I feel, would have looked out onto Liminal Hotel. God, the fact that all these associations are forming. Yep. I should have known. Let's get out of here. Let's go. We've got 3 keys now. Thought the dust was an entity for a moment. I feel like I should clarify what I meant when I said that these images sort of both gain and lose context as they're used. Because at first, they are supposed to be like anything here. They're supposed to be a strange image that you try desperately to interpret but fail to come up with any answers due to a lack of information. But then, because those images seem to get a reaction, they start appearing in other places as well. What used to be a signature kind of just becomes part of the greater, I guess, liminal canon, which is weird for something that distinctly lacks a story, that distinctly lacks sense. And that's how it loses its context also, because most people who come across these things, they're not going to know how these things came about and then spread in the community. They're just going to see that the pink sun, that the weird black pawn appears everywhere, and you can't tie it anymore to a certain creator. It's almost as much a part of it as the Backroons image itself. Can come in here. We haven't been here before. I don't think. I did not like the shadow cast by that lamp. The oven's in timeout, sequestered off from the rest of the kitchen. All appliances have been there. You again! You're like an angel of death stalking me. And you seem weirdly familiar. You're the one out of all of them that really likes to leave its area. Well, let's keep moving then. Oh, you're propped up on something. I thought you were a mattress picking up, like a magic carpet ride. You probably would have just slammed me into a wall, but I'd be okay with that at this point. The simpler the environments get, the more on alert I feel. Nope. Well, yep, that's what I thought. Yeah. Once more, a place that I feel like I've seen before, but I can't be sure that I have. I suppose that's the whole nature of liminal spaces, huh? Oh god, this is going to be so hard to edit. Nothing from this radio. Everything just turns into a mountain cabin after enough time passes, doesn't it? Oh my god, you again! Guess that means we're on the precipice of another jump scare, huh? You're the death angel of this map. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse. Oh my god. What is this? Looks like the remains of an indoor mini golf course or something. The darkness in here is so thick, but these cables hang from the ceiling, these brightly colored objects on the ground. There's so much foreground for my flashlight to catch. It oddly enough makes this place feel even bigger, prevents me from being completely suffocated by the darkness in a way that makes it scarier. Kind of reminds me of being in the basement of an abandoned power plant. Specific memory, but it was kind of like this. Okay, no. Wasn't there a door over here? Just in case. Look at you, bed in the corner. For those who just want to hide away, for those who just want to give up. That would be me, but this is a video game, so I don't have that option. Everywhere you look, you just find a whole lot of people waiting. You know, I've just had an awful thought. You only seem to exist in one place at a time. We've been down this hallway before. Maybe you'll only truly be gone once you've had your fill. Once I've triggered all your triggers. I mean, you seem to leave us alone on subsequent attempts. Maybe that's meant to tell us that you're no longer guarding the end of the hall? You're not. Sometimes, it's worth just coming back. That's what we've learned. Sometimes doors can be windows. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We've already been here. In fact, we just came from here. And you're gone once more. Which means, to advance, we need to find where you've gone. Is that right? Suddenly, all these stage-looking things make much more sense throughout the map. Here's what I think now. I think we've been just about everywhere. Now, it's just a matter of triggering all the triggers. And what it'll take to do them is probably a lot of pain, but it's pain we're just going to have to be ready to deal with. That's this map's blood price. And when you can respawn, it's kind of like pulling a quarter out of the coin slot. Well, since that angel is no longer here, and now that I look at it empty, it sort of looks like the viewing at a wake. Maybe we can get back down here? Or at least get its attention once more. Still locked. But there is a door open at the end. An exit we did not have previously. Back out onto a place I'm pretty sure I've... Wait, no. No, it just loops back in and out. Does it? Yeah. So what does this actually do? Oh, look. Look. I don't even know if that glow was there before, but, and now it's gone. And now it's gone, but we did get to see it. This door, I bet, will open now. Yes! Yes! That the curtain has fallen. And it's strange to suggest weathering is a thing here, but it tells a story of something that was in one state and fell to another. Right here in a false outdoors. Maybe they're just trying to sell the illusion, like hanging a potted plant in a cinder block hallway. Let's play tag. Don't jump, just run! Okay, let's just run then. Go get through! Alright, this time, flashlight only. What happens now? I guess we're fine. There really was only one way forward. I guess I should have just started running half a second sooner. Something, you're dead if you were already here. Wait, what? What? Oh my! Greetings, immortal one. You'd be dead if you were really here. Fortunately, this domain, or engine we inhabit is for... I can't read the whole thing. Alright, just stopping by again as Officer Flatscreen to try and see what I could have seen out the window, because I did notice in VR that there was a flash out there towards the end of that speech. But I didn't get to see what it was. Greetings, immortal one, You've reached the end of this realm. Unfortunately, this domain, or engine we inhabit, is finite. Perhaps one day I can truly show you how grand this purgatory is. That is all. Get out of my sight. Happy to have another, but not convinced of my worthiness. Well, another mystery solved by Officer Flatscreen, and it leaves me with existential despair. I assume that in standard mode all that stuff would work fine, but in VR a lot of that text was cut off. It was hard to see in the first place. But we were spoken to. Spoken to like a guest in a place they couldn't understand, but nonetheless, curiosity was welcomed, wonder was welcomed. If I were to come through this accursed place again, then what? A bedroom freshly moved into, but having this railing here, it's like there's supposed to be a staircase that was completely floored over. So I've just realized the guy who was here is now gone. He's absconded. So now the question is, where is he? It's been some time since I'd mentioned a where's the spider scare, but where is the spider? It's really interesting, especially with that dialogue, the time the map addresses directly, how this map seems to be almost aware of the sort of meta-conception of liminal spaces as they pertain to Gary's mod. It's not just borrowing imagery, it's actually kind of trying to tell us something, I think, by having all of these different styles converge here. And it all seems a bit more active as well, while being one of the quieter and more, I guess, subdued maps. Now look, I have been wandering around for hours at this point. I have like 3 hours record time, and I've been no-clipping around just to see what I haven't covered, and all I know is that there is something beyond this door. I can't figure out how to open it. We've got like 3 or 4 keys that we've picked up because, and this has been a problem on some pink-black maps as well, where it's like, okay, you have this whole huge space where the trigger landscape is constantly changing. So for all you know, you might have to go all the way back to something you already explored a long time ago. Good luck even finding it, and good luck knowing where you should be going. I have no idea how we would get through here, and at a certain point, I just have to no-clip. So, in we go. Purple walls. It's like the space itself is coming apart past this point. No wonder we weren't supposed to come through. It's under construction. Four, 3, 2, 1! I see that angel twirling about back there. This door still won't open, so okay, I guess let's go through again. It didn't actually reach the end of its countdown. Okay, maybe I can hop the gap. Yep. I can. Angel and Shadow Person congratulating me for reaching the end. Maybe it's meta. Maybe I was supposed to finally no-clip. Howdy, guys. What is up? Maybe, you know what? Maybe making it to the end of that hall was the real ending. You're not even killing me right now. I'm just here in the party. Yeah. Oh, wow. It looked like you were flinching when I moved like that. Well, let's find something out. Yeah, that's what I figured. Well, I suppose that means our work here is done. Unfortunately, theirs is not, as they build the next layer of an ever-expanding space. Sort of like the newer pink-black maps, and sort of like the GMOD liminal space scene in general. And isn't it so weird that there does seem to be a scene now? Recognizable characters, recognizable imagery, even if it's not strictly connected. And that seems to be what this map is all about. It's doing a weird thing with its design, where it's often very pretty to look at because of its lighting and architecture, but as far as dressing, it's either very bare or very detailed depending on the space. Stagnant Interiors is actually a really appropriate title because it almost feels like where the collective liminal space maps on the workshop go when you stop playing them, when they're unobserved. I guess that would make the angels sort of like the Langoliers that come to eat up the world when you're done with it. It puts these entities at the forefront of the descriptions, but that's not really the case in gameplay. I know that the creator did this basically out of the desire to actually have some threat for us to guard against. However, its pacing is where it really shines because while it does have those dangerous entities, they are very few and far between. I explored this map for a full hour before I encountered anything, and that was pure luck. I mean, I often bring out my safety lock because I'm afraid to go into some dark room. But here it was different because I knew that something might actually happen. And it ended up being a lot more scripted than I kind of thought it was going to be. Something else that's interesting about the architecture is that there's not a whole lot of verticality. This is almost entirely laid out on a flat plane, and, sometimes there'll be like a step or a short ramp. But for the most part, it is just sprawling. It's just sprawling, and look, even no clipping at full pace, it takes a while to reach the other side. Apparently, the only thing that stopped this from being even bigger was simply source limitations. It's strange how different it was able to feel, even while there are so clearly so many sources pouring into it. But I think it's transformative. I think it's transformative because it takes all of those things and provides it in its own context, and in doing so, it makes them something new. But like most dreams, it's a vague feeling. We were spoken to directly at the end, but even that doesn't give us a lot to go on. I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because this is one of those stories that feels like the greater meaning is just on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite make it connect. It feels really deep and meaningful, but I just can't place any individual components together. Kind of like a dream in that way, huh? It's clearly taking a lot of design inspiration from the likes of especially older Pink Black and Shady Milkman in the handling of its entities, and even some shades of Didascus. But there's something about the way it all comes together where, I don't know, it feels like more than homage. But I'm going to defer to you guys on that because I feel like my head is spinning right now, and if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.